Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Let me make sure my volume is up to a good volume so everyone can hear me. Let's see. Alrighty, Speak Your Truth Thursday. I hope everybody is having a great day or has had a great day. Hmm, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, and we're at this place again with the news being something that we just hate to hear, hate to see, and yeah. So, hey, Elder Stephanie, how are you doing? Hmm, I am. I'm at a loss for words because this is yet again, here we are with the things that are going on in the news. And hey, Carolyn, things going on in the news. And I'm just at a place where I'm, I'm, I'm so disappointed in just everything, just how we view each other. I'm so disappointed in the lack of compassion that we have for each other. I'm so disappointed in just the sheer violence and the sheer nature that we have. Um, um, hey, hey, Ronita. I'm just so disappointed by the actions that we have afflicted on us, by the actions that we inflict or afflict on ourselves. Um, I'm just so disappointed by the of lack of importance that any life, regardless if it's the life of a black individual, the life of a white individual, the life of a Latino individual. I'm just so disappointed just by the sure lack of people just not caring. They don't care. They don't care that that's a mother that has lost their child. They don't care that that is a child that has lost a parent. They don't care that there is a sister or brother that has lost a sibling. And there's so many pieces to the puzzle. There's so many pieces to the puzzle of us just not caring, that we don't have a care in the world, that we just, keep going on about our day. Um, the issue with the police violence definitely has to be addressed, has to be stopped. The issue with the violence that we have and upon each other definitely has to be addressed, definitely has to we've got to solve this across the board for everyone, because I don't think that if anybody would go to interview or talk to any of these mothers, that it would sting less by her losing her child from the hands of somebody that is white or the hands of somebody that is black. I understand 100% wholeheartedly that this is terrible across the board all the way, but what are we doing? A lot of times when you're watching the news, the first part of the news is like, body counts, and people are talking about, the deaths, not even for the COVID-19, but just how we are interacting and treating each other, and how, just the sheer lack of not having compassion for each other. So today I posted earlier about me trying to find the right words, because this is an issue across the board with everyone. because there's not a second thought at this point when somebody gets upset or when somebody gets angry, how they will take your life and just at the drop of a hat. Like there's no second guessing it, there's no second thought to it. Just, your life doesn't mean anything. And with the sure fact of the police officers, my nephew is a police officer. I would have wanted him to do anything in this world but to be a police officer. But that is a profession that he chose in order to make a difference. I love him for that, and I love him for saying that he wanted to make a difference. But I don't want him to ever be more committed to his job than he is to the people that he's supposed to protect and serve. Because the badge still should not take your heart of looking at the person that you're arresting as being a human being. I never want him to start just seeing people as criminals and not just people. I'm so I have one child. One. I don't have a replacement. I don't have anything else that I could give that I would be able to bring her back, or someone can give to me that they can give her back to me if something should happen to her. There's no do-over that I have, and there's no do-over that these families and these people have. Death is death. There's no coming back from that. That is final. So my thing is, just even for a moment, just processing the sheer hate that you have to do some of the things that we are seeing being done. And some of them are being done so openly and so honestly and transparent. And then they look and they say, what? Like, nothing is going to happen to me. You're not going to do anything. Nothing is going to happen. To have that as your mentality, to get before people that you say that you are here to serve and to protect. Hey Steen, hey Lacey. To get before people that you state that you are here to serve and protect, but your first instinct is always to harm. That's hard for me to process. Hey Jerry, hey LaShawn. It's hard for me to process as a mother. It's hard for me to process as a black woman. And before I got on, I had the thought, not one day in my life have I ever forgot that I was a black woman. Not one day. First of all, I wake up and I look at myself every day, so I know who I am every day. The second thing, society is not going to allow me to forget who I am every day. Regardless of if I try to treat everybody right. Hey, Natalie. Regardless if I try to treat everybody right and teach my child to be respectful and to do the right things all the time, the first thing that we see and when we encounter is Arlene, she's a black woman. That's it. Not even establishing anything else at that moment. If I'm, a Christian woman, if I'm a hellraiser, if I'm, I don't believe in God, like nothing else goes forward before seeing I'm a black woman. So my cry today for us as individuals, because a lot of times when things like this happen, we are the first ones to cry out and to rally and say this, but then we are the first people that will turn our backs on each other. I need your cry to be for me at all times. I need your cry to be for, even if this is not your family, I need you to care at all times, not when something happens. I need your heart to be on fire. I need you to be furious from day one. And what we've got to stop doing is to stop hindering each other. We've got to stop being a noose around each other's neck, for lack of any other thing that I can give, because we are like squeezing the life out of each other, trying to, at this point, I don't even know what to call it, what we're trying to do, because it's just one of those things where you see so many different people. We work with different people, we have different people on our jobs, we encounter different people every day. But most of the time, if there's a problem among us, and I'll say, for instance, and everything, I'll say, for me and my experiences, and that's the only thing that I can speak from unless someone has shared something with me. But just from my experience, even working at my job, I've been employed with the same company now for the last 16 years. A lot of things that I've went through and been through are with people that look just like me. The worst things, and then not only with people that look like me, but then they group with other people that don't look. Hey, Christy. They group with other people that don't look like me and will form an alliance to, attack me or throw me under the bus or whatever. I am never. I will back away from something before I'm going to do you any disservice in front of anybody that does not look like us. I made myself a promise to start paying attention to that. The way I talk and interact with my sisters and brothers that look like me. It's purposeful, because I can't come before you and tell you and talk to you about something that I will turn around and do the opposite of. I had to make it something that was very conscious to me and very, put it in my face. And I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. I don't care who has whatever issue going on. I don't care who has, because that's going to be between me and you unless you go and you tell them. Because I just think at this point in our lives that it just has to be a different way of the way that we talk to each other, the way that we interact with each other, and the way that we support each other. Plenty of times, people still may not know to this day, things that have been said and how they've thrown me under the bus. But I'm still going to be the same way, because I made a promise to myself and I made a commitment to God to be different in that light. If we can never interact with each other differently or show the outside differently, then we're showing everybody how to treat us by the way we treat each other. I'm a strong believer of that. And I tell people all the time, with everything, I am the easiest person to get along with. I promise you, I will bend over backwards and do whatever. But my requirement for me is for you to respect me as a woman, as an individual, for you to respect me as an adult. Now, that is when you will have your biggest problem with me. I tell people that all the time. Because first of all, I'm at a place where, as you get older, you see the older people and they are like, well, I done lived this long and I can say what I want to. Yeah, that may be true, but then you just don't want to be just, shooting off stuff to people and just being rude to them for no reason. Now, Warren, some people you have got to tell. You can't, give them a little, no kind of leeway in conversations. I pick up on that, and I'm the first to say, okay, interesting. And I'll, just leave the conversation. Because first of all, I'm just at a place where I think that if I'm going to offer you respect, then I want you to give that to me in return. There should not be and I tell people all the time, my peace is non-negotiable. Not going to And if I say something in disagreement, that doesn't mean that I've, allowed it to disrupt me and get me all out of whack. No, I'm just disagreeing with you. And a lot of times when we have conversations like this and people openly talk and they express their feelings, then people get upset because the truth hurts. And when it's not watered down, then we do get offended. We're uncomfortable. Last year at my church, there was a series that was done about race and reconciliation. Thank you so much, Ronita. Thank you. There was a series done, and my church is predominantly black, but we do have other races. But when everything was being discussed, I paid attention to the way people, their demeanor, how they moved, how they, kind of, if they had any facial expressions and all of that. I just paid attention. And it seemed as though the information that was being given, like we were more African American, black people were more uncomfortable to hear what was being said more than everybody else. I was like, interesting. And a lot of times, we will be the first to say, some will be, well, that's just stuff that happened in the past and we don't need to keep rehashing that and bringing it up. If you never deal with an issue and you never talk about it, that's just like having the same argument with your husband over and over again. You told him you like your dishes turned this way in the sink, or you told him you like this way. If you never fully explain or just talk about that, why that is an issue for you, how is he ever going to recognize and try to think about resolving that, or just being at a place where, okay, I understand what she's saying? You've got to have those conversations. Those conversations are going to have to take place. We are here now because nobody wants to have those conversations. I have different friends. I have, but there are only certain things that I'm going to talk about with certain people. Everything I can't talk about with all of them because my experience and their experience is going to be different. Now, we do have a lot of things that we are all the same. And more of it makes us, the same than it does make us different. But those experiences, the way that they happen and what happened, the way that we handle those experiences are going to be totally different. And my husband and I, we always have this thing, and he talks to me all the time about, when I explain to him about how I grew up versus how he grew up. Totally different. Two different households, two different ways of thinking, two different ways of processing information. We have to understand that we were raised differently. And a lot of times that has created chaos and confusion in our homes because of the way I process information versus the way he processes information. That's the way we were raised. That's something that was instilled in us. But we can learn to compromise and listen to each other and understand that those are differences, but they don't have to destroy us because we are different. If you never take the time to listen, if we never take the time to try to understand a black mother's pain, to try to understand the pain of a black woman, if you never take the time to understand, then how are you ever going to grasp me altogether? How are you ever going to know the true me? And if I'm always afraid to share that piece of me with you, how will we ever really, let people in and let people know who we are? We all can be better. We all can do things to to be better. We all can do things in our homes to be better. We all can do things in our communities to be better. We all can do things that warrant action for something to do to be better. In business, they always say you want a call to action. You want a call to action. You want, something to get your clients or your potential clients' attention. There should be a call to action right now on our lives, on the way we talk to each other, on the way that we grasp information, on the way that we share information. Because now it's just like, just whatever. Anything goes now. I have two brothers. And as I stated, my nephew is in law enforcement. He's a police officer. And to even go back further, my grandfather was killed by a police officer. My mother, and learning that as I got older, and my first thing was, well, what did y'all do? How did you process this? What? And her reply back then, we just we let it went. So you may have things that affected your family generation and years ago, that those are conversations that you need to have. I wanted to know more. Well, why did this happen? Why did he think he was this? Why did he? But if you just, okay, that's just another person that died at the hands of, a police officer, and that's that. Like, that shouldn't be the end of it. That can't be the end of the conversation. And for everybody that gets in an uproar and tell people that they shouldn't pull the race card, or they shouldn't make everything about race. No, everything is not about race. But when something is in your face, you can't deny that. You can't, as I stated today, truth can't be watered down. And you would think, with all the videos, all this technology, everything that goes on, we see everything in real time, until it's something that needs to be real information. Then it's slow to be processed, and it's slow to be understood. Well, what did he do? What did this happen? Yes, you need all the facts at every point. You need all the facts. Hey, Tasha, you need all the facts from start to finish. But we've also got to have the fact that we're dealing with humans. We're dealing with people. We're dealing with, somebody's family member. Like, at some point, can that become a part of the process first, before everything else does, before it just blows up? The only thing that I can sit here and say before you guys that I absolutely, probably would just, lose my mind, or be, just all out of character, if it was something dealing with my child. But I still at that point would need to know, what happened and what transpired, because I still have to know both sides of the story. I still need the information in order to process it. And a lot of times families don't get that when they are put in these situations, like we see happening before us far too many times. So today I was looking online, and I saw Denzel Washington, and I'm sure that the police officers, allowed this intervention because of who he was. But I just don't think that that we all can do that. That we all couldn't just, if the people were standing around, and I know people are like, they don't want to put themselves in harm's way. They don't want to get in trouble with the police themselves. They, may have had issues or something, but just something. And today, with the incident with Denzel Washington, I don't know if it happened today or it happened, previously, but he was able to, he saw these two police officers trying to arrest this black guy, and, he stopped to see what was going on because it probably looked a little shady or funny to him. Don't know. I don't, a lot of times we don't get all the full video when you're watching something on social media. So, just even being there to be a witness to it, but also like, okay, what's going on? Why is such and such, such and such? Roderick and I, years ago when we lived in Montgomery, we were stopped by a police officer, and I'll never forget this incident. And I always pay attention to my surrounding, pay attention to, people driving by us, driving behind us, in front of us. It's just something that I've always had a habit of doing, just paying attention to my surroundings. And this particular time, we had our expedition, and he and I were in the car. I don't think Ariel was with us, and we were about to go out of town somewhere. And there was another truck exactly like ours, and then there was an older Ford truck. And all of us came out of our neighborhood, and we all turned the same way, going, on our way. And the police officer, when he stopped us. And so my first question to him, he came up to, "Hi, how are you?" I'm engaging with, "Hi, how are you? Why'd you stop us?" And he was like, "Well, you all were speeding. I said, "Who was speeding? How?" I said, "We all were, right there together. How did you pick up on our speed and you didn't pick up?" Because we were all literally right there together. And it was another truck, like I said, just like our truck, and then an older Ford truck. And I'm telling y'all, this happened years ago, and I still remember this day, still remember this incident like it was yesterday. And he, the police officer, I guess he was a little perturbed because I was asking him so many questions. And I was like, "Well, how, did you pick us out of, all three vehicles that were traveling, pretty much the same rate of speed, because we're all right there together, but how did you choose our vehicle?" So his question to me was, "Well, do you know how a radar detector works?" I said, "Enlighten me, educate me." Back then, I don't know if they had like a radar detector that was gonna give them three different readings from three different cars. I still don't know that that's possible. I don't think that that's something that was available at the time or what was going on. And it was more of a back and forth with him and I, with me asking the questions, that he was more upset because I was challenging him and asking him questions than for me as a citizen asking him, "Okay, well, enlighten me, educate me, how does it work?" So Roderick is always like, he's the one, "Arlene, let it go, let it go." No, because we've let so much go to, okay, now it's like, "Well, I just don't say anything." Why? 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 It's a question. So when we got ready to go to court, because I told, and he gave us a ticket. I said, "Well, we will see you in court, officer such and such." Had his, I looked at his badge, got his number and all that. And he was upset because, I did all of that. And I told Roderick, I said, "We're not paying this. We are going to court." And I say, I don't care even if the judge is going to decide with him. I still want my voice to be heard. And I want to be, acknowledged, and let them know my questions, what problems I had with such and such, the way this was handled. Regardless if it fell on deaf ears, I still wanted that to be on record. I wanted that to be said. Long story short, when we get ready to go to court, I actually had to work and couldn't get off work. So, of course, I knew Roderick was not going to fight it. He's just going to go in there, okay, and that's it. So again, situations happen. My husband was riding with three other guys coming home from work. They all work at Hyundai, and they were pulled over by a state trooper. Four black men in the car. All of them have on their work uniforms. All of them have their where they work at printed on their shirts, their names printed on their shirts, and the officer stopped them, asked for everybody ID, got all of them out of the car, had them spread out. The driver told him that they were coming from work. I was like, Roger, why didn't you call me? He said, because I wanted to go home. He said, because if I knew you came down there, we was going to get locked up. He said, all of us were. I said, why didn't you call me? Because my whole thing was, what was the purpose and the need to get all of them out the car? Why? And it's just things like that, situations like that, that we have definitely got to share, got to speak on, and we've got to be a part of this, because it may not be your family now, it may not be your relative now, but at any point in time, as we see, it could be. So my purpose this evening, getting on this, is just, my heart has been so heavy that another family has to go through this, and then people have to destroy their community, destroy where they are. Do I agree with that? Absolutely not. But I can understand the frustration, because sometimes when you don't feel like you have an out to do anything, then as kids, or as anything, people start breaking things, damaging things, and no, it's not for the best benefit of the community to do that. Absolutely not. But just imagine if that was your pain, and there was no way for you to process it. There was nowhere for it to go, and that's why I say I don't like getting upset. I don't like getting angry. I try to stay best mood possible, because anger will take over. It will overrule you. And when all you see is that, and all you feel is that, then it's going to just come out in ways that, your intentions may not have been to go that far, but you're angry. Like you want something to be done. Does anybody have any comments or questions, or want to even just, share your thoughts about what we have going on? What, and even, suggestions for how to have better conversations, how to have, just what can we do, or what do you think that you can do as an individual, or even have you even thought about it? What would you do? What would you say? Just handling this or processing this. And my husband goes to work all times of day and night. He's traveling over an hour for work every day, to and from. So at any point in time, he's been stopped at night, and different times, and he usually does not like to let me know until after it happens. But I always tell him, Roderick, call me, turn your phone on, let the phone be on, your so I can hear what's going on. Christy says she talks to her son and pray over him in these streets. Oh, most definitely. And the talks that we have to have with our children is different. And sometimes it angers me. It's hurtful that I need to tell, my child that there are different sets of rules for the way we have to operate, and you are deemed as a an angry black woman because you love your child as much as the next person loves their child. Sorry, I'll wear that label proudly, and will wear it proudly for myself and for speaking up for the things that matter to me and things that are important to me and important to my household. um I just any does anybody else have anything? And Christy, most definitely, it's it right now. I don't think that me as being just over the top sometimes with just being a parent, and Christy has one child like I do, and that's the thing where not that if you have more children that's going to make it better, but I only have one child, and that's the thought that always rings in my head. I only have one child, and the first thing I'm like, how dare somebody take from me? I was in labor for 19 hours with my daughter. I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it again, but that's my child. You know, birthing her, her growing inside of me. What mother wants to bring their child into a world to be consumed by all the ugliness and nastiness of the world? Who wants to do that? Like, why do you think that my love and my desires, my hopes and my dreams for my black child, my brown child, supposed to be less than what you have for yours? I don't understand that. That angers me because it's not up to society to tell my child what their value and worth is. It's not up to them to tell me that. So, this is something that is very near and dear to my heart because I don't think that we fully understand and grasp the concept of talking to our children to let them know who they are, their identity, talking to them. A lot of times we will, move into places and we have them in certain areas, in certain schools, and we make the mistake not telling and teaching them who they are as an individual. I had to do that with my daughter at one point in time. And Ariel knows that her mother is subject to go to the left at any given moment. And especially when I do all I can for you as your parent, you're going to appreciate and you're going to respect me. But it is my duty in order to give you that. It's my duty for me to tell you who you are, for me to teach you who you are, and for me to show you who you are. That's not anything that she's just going to grab out of the air and have an understanding of it by herself. That is my responsibility to ensure and make sure that nobody ever takes that away from her and nobody ever makes her feel like she doesn't know who she is. Because if we never get them to a place of being comfortable in their skin, then it's always going to be they're looking and wanting something else. Something else is better than who they are. Absolutely not. You are absolutely amazing with who you are. Nobody is better. You are just as good as the next person. And that is something that I have preached to my child from the day I found out I was pregnant with. Well, after I got over the initial shock, because I wasn't a happy camper. But after I got over that initial shock and me going into, suiting up to be mommy and getting in this position and me understanding what my responsibility was as a parent, what I was supposed to give her. Not that stuff that we buy them at the store. The stuff that's going to keep them when we're no longer here with them. If we never tell them, teach them, and show them who they are, then they're always going to be wanderers, just wondering in life. Well, my mom, she never taught me this. She never told me this. She never, I didn't know I was supposed to feel respectful about this. I was supposed to respect myself in this manner. I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to do that. Conversations. Conversations. Oh, y'all, this is my soapbox. I can be on it all day. And it's just, yeah. So, I was all day, all morning, I've been praying, and, God, let me say this in a manner that it's a call to action for us as a race, as a community, as parents, as black women, as black men. We can't fight each other and then fight for each other when the cause. I'm going to need us to be on the same team at all times. Because in the end, if something happens and you have a family member that is, Tasha said, sad to say, but I'm afraid for my son, my husband, brother, and cousins. That's a very true statement, Tasha. That is a very true statement. And, living a life of fear and being fearful for somebody's safety and well-being, it is two different things, because I'm not fearing an individual, but I'm fearing how that individual will perceive, as Tasha said, our family members. He keeps questioning the video as he saw tears roll down my face. Okay, well, Tasha, this is the time that you need to sit down and you need to talk to him about this, because at this point, I don't think any of our children are too young for us to have this conversation, because we can keep them safe in the home and keep them living inside of a bubble. And I'm bad about for Ariel, but the real world is out there waiting on them. There are people out there waiting on them just to tear their identity down at any given moment in time. Some of those people that are out there waiting, they look like us. Some of those people that are out there waiting to tear them down, or us to tear, they don't look like us. So we've got to have conversations about all of it and not sugarcoat it. Because my child is a news freak. Ariel has liked the news ever since she's been a little girl. I actually have to make her stop watching the news a lot of the time because she consumes so much of it. I don't even watch as much news as she does. She'll tell me something that happened before I even see it or know about it. We talk about it. And the first thing I always lead conversations with, well, how do you feel about that? What do you think about that? Give me your take on that. Tell me what your thoughts are. How can you process this? How would you explain this to one of your friends? What if one of your friends were sitting around and they thought it was funny? And how would that make you feel? What would you say? Because, like most of us, we allow our children to have, whomever their friends are. We, allow that to be their choice. But in that being their choice, I've got to make her understand that that's not anything that you need to take part in, or you need to think that that's a joke, or you need to allow it. Because I don't do the joking thing. I absolutely 100% don't do it. No. Because, see, you're going to forget at some point in time, and you're going to try to pass it off as you were joking, but you're going to mean what you say. So therefore, for me and you not to ever have that problem, I let you know up front, I don't do it. I don't do the name calling. I don't do the joking. We're just not going to do that. There are boundaries you have to let people know. what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. We just, you know, oh, my friend and this and my friend, I don't care who it is. I absolutely don't care. Sorry. No. So therefore, that's one thing that I've taught my child. I don't care who they are. You know, I had an incident, you know, and my sister, she always tells me, you know, Arlene, you too over the top with stuff. You can call it what you want to, but you know, as far as my nephew and you know stuff like that, and I know sometimes he's mad with me because I am overprotective, and I'm like, you know, if I see some on Facebook, I'm like, no. So they sometimes don't even want me to be, you know, friends or following them. I don't care because there still should be boundaries and there still should be levels to what is acceptable to be said to you and about you in any setting. So, again, that's, you know, having those conversations with our children, you know, allowing them to tell you how they feel, talking to them openly and honestly. Hey, Kia. And just being, you know, straight up. Straight up. And I'm the type of person that if I always got to explain my pain to you, then that's not anybody that needs to be in my inner circle. So I shouldn't have to explain my pain to you and why this angers me. Sorry. So, you know, everybody is not going to get on here and say this. Everybody is not. These are my feelings. These are my beliefs. These are things that I hold to be non negotiable. I will in any way help anybody do whatever I can and need to do. But again, I'm going to respect you and you're going to respect me. Non negotiable. Non negotiable. LaShawn said, yes, yes, so true. Right, because you know, it becomes a slippery slope. And then you kind of like right there in the middle of it. No. So if we never, and Christy says sorry, not sorry. So if we never have that game that we played, then we never have to come back from it. And that's gonna keep me and you both in a good place, in a good space. Like, you know, we'll put our foot down with each other and we'll be mad with each other about something, but you'll let somebody over here say something fly to you and it's cool and it's okay, but you good with it. No. I'm gonna need you to go off on her just like you be going off on me or say something. And in corporate America, that is, you know, a big problem. Yeah. So that happens a lot. And like I said, I myself, I will walk away from the conversation or I'll just completely shut down and not make this about us doing this, or us saying something until, hey, you know, maybe at a different day or a different time, we can probably have this conversation and we can, you know, kind of understand what the other person was saying. But if you're not mature enough to do that, then, you know, we'll just have to table that and just, you know, let that go, because people have a right to feel the way they feel. People have a right to their opinions, but you're not going to make me feel bad because of my opinion and my, you know, what I'm feeling and what I'm telling you, what I need as far as me as a person to make me feel comfortable. Now, I'm not going to be the only uncomfortable one in the room. Everybody else comfortable, but I'm sitting up here like, wait, what just happened? No, if we all just going to be in the uncomfortable. How about that? So, and I think that's the best thing that we can do as women, because a lot of times we get a lot of stuff on our jobs. We have stuff going on in our homes. We have stuff going on, you know, in friendships, in relationships, and our voice is taken away, and we are always the one kind of left holding the bag. We never tell people how they made us feel. But we always want to, make things right for everybody else. But hey, my feelings over here too, they're hurt. They matter. Like, can we address that? So, does anybody else have any questions about anything? And that's one thing. When I started this group, I wanted it to be open for everybody. It was not just for black women. It was just not for black and white women. It's open to everybody. And that's why I always tell you guys, I don't want to be the only voice in the group, because I can only tell you my experiences from my point of view as a black woman. Your experience as, another race probably is not going to be my same experience. But most of the time, the experiences of women, they usually mirror themselves. They usually are pretty much alike. But the way that we process that information and the way that we handle, each other is usually where the problem comes in at. Why? I don't know. Because, 9 times out of 10, and with me doing this and starting my coaching and talking with different women, you guys would be so surprised as to a lot of us that we're hurting and trying to heal from a lot of the same things. And we suffer in silence. Most of us do. Until it's just that thing that breaks us and we're like, okay, you know what? I'm no longer going to continue doing this. I'm no longer going to continue being this way. I am no longer going to just allow this to remain like this. So does anyone else have any other comments or any other questions, or want to address anything that I talked about? Again, like I said, Hear My Cry Sisterhood, it is open to everyone. Everyone can have a voice. Now, with certain things that I allow posted in the group, I do have a business page, and I want everybody to post about their business information on the business page. But usually, the things that I'm posting about the courses and things that it was designed for the group to get people into the coaching and into the programs that I'm doing or creating, or any event that I'm having. And Christy said, great chat. Thank you, friend. Thank you. Thank you. And so that's why I usually, in any events that we're having that are women empowerment or women focused, you will see me post those in there. Not that I'm picking and choosing just my friends to support their business, but if it's something along the line that you're doing that way, then those are the things that we want in the sisterhood group. But the business page, I do want everybody to always flood that with your business information. I don't have a problem with that, not at all. But what I want us to encourage each other with every day is prayer. It's prayer. It's words of affirmation to affirm each other, to build each other up. A lot of times I do have, LaShawn says, I'm very happy that you've opened a group for discussion, because it's the problem that people nowadays are not communicating, and that it's important to be able to communicate. Absolutely. Absolutely, LaShawn. And I think the biggest thing that for women that we've done, like I said, we walked around years suffering in silence. I used to be so angry because no one heard me. I was just like, the hired help that didn't get paid. I'm doing this. And I tell my husband, even now sometimes I tell him, I don't think that he appreciates, all that I've done, that I have been, that I am doing, because with us as women, our lives go to different levels and stages. I may have been quick to do such and such, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and then it may take me a little while to move and process this and do this. Elder Stephanie says, as women, it's our responsibility to respect each other. We don't have to always agree, but we should respect each other and even respect our differences. Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. And I tell people that all the time. And I think it happens more in work relationships, than it really happens anywhere, because people, hey Lakeisha, people think that, and I've had this conversation, and I would say even like people at church, if there's something that we've talked about and we discussed it, I'm done with it once we're finished with the conversation. And when I see you the next time, you may be looking some kind of way, but I'm gonna be like, hey, how are you doing? Because that was a conversation that we had. We said what we needed to say, but then it's over. But you have some people that hold on to stuff, and as women, we hold on to stuff for eternity, dear life. And I tell people all the time, let it go. And you don't have to start back, interacting with that person, because that just may not be a person that you are supposed to line up with and continue to walk with and journey with. That just may be, showing you, that true person and revealing who that person is. And they may just not be at a place at this point in their lives where they can handle, a good friendship, a good, to be a good friend, and know how to handle the relationships. Some people you just are not going to be BFFs with forever. You're going to outgrow each other. That doesn't mean that, you can't go back at sometimes, girl, we've had the best of times. We've had, this and that. But that's being an adult. That's having, different things going on in your lives. And then you come back together, and then, you can just leave it as is. But you've got to, as LaShawn said, we've got to be able to have that open, transparent communication. And we have to respect each other. We have to respect each other's voice. When I came up with the name for my business and my group, I just kept hearing, hear my cry. I was talking with God and just sitting in my bed, and I was going over and saying, things and talking with him. And I, just kept hearing that, hear my cry, hear my cry. I said, for so long, we have wanted to cry out, but it's like it's a silent cry. Nobody hears us. Or we don't want to make it where people know that there's something wrong, but we're crying on the inside. So when I tell people outside, when I say hear my cry, it is, I have something to say that's important to me, something that's important to my sisters, something that I'm trying to do as a movement for women as a whole, for everyone, because I want my daughter to understand and learn from me how to be a good friend. We have to teach our girls that. We have to teach, and they learn by us. We're the example. I can't be on the phone with Christy talking about everybody in the group, but then get on here and portray to be for women. Because my daughter is going to get out, and she's going to be a carbon copy of who I am at home. So again, now we know they do pick up some stuff in the street, but the majority of it, and we, we'll be like, I don't know where she get that from. I don't know why she acting like that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. They are sponges, just soaking up everything. And just having that personality. Some of it we give to them from us, but then a lot of it we show them. We in front of them, how we're treating people, how we interact with people, who we are at home versus who we are at church, versus who we are with our friends, versus who we are when we're on vacation, versus who we are wherever. We have got to be consistent with who we are to them, as far as just teaching them and showing them, giving them that identity. So, does anybody else have any other questions? And thank you all for joining me so much. I appreciate everybody being a part of Hear My Cry Sisterhood. I appreciate all that you guys bring to the sisterhood. all of the great information, the great energy. And I tell people all the time, you guys are ministering to me, are teaching me, are growing me as much as I'm trying to do that for you. So it's one of those things where I actually have people, if I don't post something, then I'll get texts like, okay, what's going on? What are you doing? Are you okay? And when I was sick last month, at the beginning of last month, my cousin, she was like, okay, what's going on with you? You haven't posted anything. And that's the connection that I want this group to be. I want people to notice when you don't see Stephanie Burton Rayborn come up in the group in so long. Okay, we might need to send a message out to her. Or we don't see Christy, just posting something or something going on. So that's that connection that I want us to be for each other, that lifeline. Because as we see, the quarantine has really just drove home what I was trying to just say for the last 4 years about community. We need a transparent, an open, and an honest community. Just think about the women that may have been in relationships now that they're no longer a part of, or somehow something happened during this time and they have kind of been suffering in silence. They haven't had anybody to be there for them. Going through this by yourself, during all of this by yourself, it could have been very, very hard for a lot of women. Not able to process and have someone to really talk to, and that could give them, just some type of encouragement, some type of just being a listening ear. Every time, and LaShawn says, thank you for your encouraging words. Oh, thank you. And, just sometimes that could be the best thing that you can give someone, is a kind word. That may be the best thing that you can say to someone, to just let them know that you care. Sometimes I just send texts and I'll be like, hey, how are you doing? Just checking in on you. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to just send you a text and see how you were doing. Things like that. So people know that they're just not in the world alone. Sometimes you don't have anybody that will ever get a thank you, or hey, I missed you, I hadn't seen you in so long, you haven't been around, or you were just on my mind. And that means a lot to people. Sometimes, everybody thinks that you have to have something that you can give to someone. Giving them a kind word, loving them, a hug. I'm a hugger. So, even when we go back to church, I'm going to have to kind of tape my arms to the side or something, because I'm going to be so happy to see my church family, and I know the first thing I want to do is to hug everybody. So that has been a big adjustment for me, because we do that to everybody, like new guests, everybody. We hug, we express, being happy to see each other. So that is life to some people. And a lot of times, guys, you probably don't know how that has helped someone, just by doing a simple thing as sending them a text, calling them, sending them a card. Me and Christy, sometimes we get on the phone and we're on the phone like 2 hours laughing and talking about everything, silly stuff, everything. And it's just to let the time, and then we'll realize, girl, let me get off this phone. I've been on this phone with you so long. And it's easy. And then when you have that and you can connect with people like that, you may not talk to them every day, but when you do get a chance to talk to them, it is life. So, guys, thank you. Does anybody else have anything else? And I always tell you guys, let me know topics. Put topics out there. Put questions out there. Put conversations out there. everything women, I know a lot of times, like, when people don't want to talk about sex openly, they don't want to talk about divorce openly, they don't want to talk about going through menopause openly, they don't want to talk about, a lack of desire. Like, these are things, ladies, that this community is for. You are going to, as we age, and Roger, sometimes he's like, "Now you just be telling too much." I'm like, "Look, this is not about me. This is not about you. This is about me giving people a safe place, a non-judgment place to talk about stuff openly, honestly. Because growing up, I didn't get that. A lot of things, a lot of us in our 30s and 40s, we've had to learn along the way. And a lot of it, had I known half of what I know now, I probably wouldn't have did and had half of the experiences that I have. But since I have them now, then I want to be that voice of reason and that sounding board. And even having a relationship with young ladies as Lacey and other young ladies at my church and stuff. And if they come to me and they know whatever it is, I just be like, do I need to prepare myself? And they'll say, yeah, you probably do. So I'm like, oh, Lord. So I got to get myself I'll be like, hold on, let me get myself together. But that's just, to break the ice so they feel, comfortable. And, but they know I'm going to listen. And they know that I'm going to listen, but I'm going to still tell them straight. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If I don't think it's a good idea, I don't think it's a good, and I'll be like, well, this is my opinion. This is how I would handle it. And Christy said, grow from those experiences. Most definitely. Because if you don't grow from them, you're going to continue to repeat them. And, you always have, this friend or, somebody, like, I always be finding the wrong guys. Like, well, girl, what you doing? And, each time you have that conversation, it be the same answer. Like, well, girl, what you doing? At some point, we're going to have to sit down and, like, dissect that thing. We're going to have to take it apart and be like, okay, so this right here is the problem. And Elder said, Lord, menopause. I call it menopause. It's a life change that is not easy. Like, it is not. When I tell y'all menopause, and I have been doing premenopause, and I've been going since I was 35. My mother started young. So, and they were like, this part can last 10 years. Okay, this will be my 10th year. When I tell you I have been up and down roller coaster sometimes, I have been a crazy person sometimes. Sometimes I would just get angry and upset. Like, Roger, why are you talking to me? Like, stop talking to me. Don't. And, you go through that period and then go through that period where you don't want them to touch you, don't talk to me, don't ask me no question. Why you looking at me? No, I'm not going to cook. What? And, just having that experience. And I'm like, oh my God. I remember when we used to laugh at my mother and we used to think something was wrong with her when she would be acting crazy like this. So now that I'm this age and me and my mom, she's like, girl, isn't it a mess? And I was like, I am so sorry. Because we just thought she was crazy. Of course, your mom should think crazy. But to see it and take over my body and I'm having hot flashes and I got to get up and I'm just Ariel talking to me and I'm looking at her and she's like, okay, that's all right. She'll just turn around and go back out my office and she's like, I'll talk to you later. So yes, ladies, definitely, menopause is one of those things that we definitely want to talk about and put out there, because I think everybody's experience is different. I have friends that have already turned 50 and they haven't had a hot flash a day in their lives. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? You ain't had no hot flash. Girl, I had hot flash all the time. So it's different for each woman. And the actual, the process and then how your body changes. And, usually you could lose weight like this, but then you see, okay, now this is a little much. And it's like it's invasion of the body snatchers, as they say. It's a lot. So even with that, I had to learn how to how to process it, how to be like, it's a part of aging. It's a part of me getting older. And some women, they don't want to, age and get older. Outside of the hot flashes, it's been fine for me. But I would not, and I tell people all the time, I would not go back to my 20s for nothing in the world, because I was the biggest fool. Oh my God, would not go back to my 20s if the Lord would even allow it, because my 20s were just not, yeah, they were not anything that, no. I was very naive, very gullible, as most are at that age. But I just, no, I wouldn't go back. It was a lot. It was a lot. So yeah, even starting the conversations about things that we think are too personal to talk about it, but you have a group of women, over 2,000 women in there. Somebody has some good information or some things that they've tried that may get you through it, may get you over the hump. But if we never put the conversations out there, we never ask the questions, or we never have those real transparent conversations, then we're always going to be like, kind of guessing and wondering, and you know like, and you had someone that could have gave you some good information years ago, and you would have been like, girl, I should have did this years ago. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, Miss Kathy says hello, and I'm 50, and yesterday I called my mother and said I think I just started having hot flashes. Amazing, you were talking about this today. Yes, 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 Miss Kathy. The first time I had one, I thought I was losing my mind. I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? And I just started getting hot from the top of my head to just all over my body. And I was at church. I'm one of the people that help and greet and deal, talking to people. And, men and women come up to you, so you're talking. And I was at church one day, and I was just standing there. All of a sudden I was just like, I was on fire, and I just started sweating everywhere. And the guy was standing right there, him and his wife, and me and her, we knew what was going on. And he just looked at me like, are you okay, are you okay? I was like, I'm sorry. And I had to go find something to fan with, and like, don't mind me, I'm just having a hot flash. And I'm just like this at church, and they already know what I'm doing. So I'm like, oh my God. And it just happens in the worst moments. In the worst moments. Elder Stephen, there are some ways to deal with it. I have been dealing with it for at least 17 years. Kathy, you would definitely know when they hit you. Oh yes, ma'am. You would like, there's that feeling is like no other. Like, I've never experienced it. And then when it happens and it starts, like, I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? Why? What is going on? And usually, everybody comes to my house, they're usually cold, because I keep my AC on year round. It goes off only very, very certain times of the year, and it might be off for maybe a week or two. And as Stephanie said, when you get hot from the inside out, I promise you, that is it. That is it. I was so, oh my God, be so embarrassed sometimes. I used to be. Say, yes, I started sweating. All of a sudden, the house was cool, and I'm just like, oh, yes, ma'am, all the time. And the first time my husband finally saw me doing it, and he's like, what is wrong with you? And it was like, I'm just walking around, and my face is just full of sweat. And he's like, that's for real? Like, I said, it's for real. And I'm just sitting there like that. I'm like, I said, I wish men could at least experience the hot flashes. And he and Ariel, both of them, they're like, we're cold. Y'all better put on some clothes, because better not nobody in here touch their air conditioning. Put on some clothes. And so yeah, we got a ceiling fan in our room. We got a fan in our room, and the AC be on too. So and I tell him all the time, sir, you better put you some clothes on. I'm sorry. And Ariel, it's cold in here. Little girl, goodbye. So, yes, yes, ma'am. It is just that serious. And usually I keep my temperature on my AC on 73 in my house at all times. And it's like I wake up out of a sound sleep when somebody turns it off or they touch it, and they know now not to touch it because I just went absolutely crazy one day when they somebody decided to turn it off, and I can just be in a full deep sleep and I just automatically just wake up. Who turned the AC off? I know y'all didn't turn the air conditioner off. So it's one of those things where when you start, it is the worst thing ever. I mean, ever. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So, if I can say anything that I honestly dislike about aging at this point in my life, it will be the hot flashes. Other than that, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Anybody else have any other questions or comments? Ladies, thank y'all for hanging out with me. I'm usually in class on Thursday nights, but we didn't have class tonight, so I'm usually in class on Thursdays. I'm at 7. So I was like, I'm getting on today, and I did want to talk about that, but also just to get us, and I always end or say this on all of my lives, to get us more engage, invite other women to join the group, start conversations, put things out there like this, just with even discussing menopause and the hot flashes, and being able to say, Miss Kathy, I'm right there with you. Elder Stephanie, I'm right there with you. And a lot of times people will think because of, oh, you in your 40s, you just, no, 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 no. This started at 35. So, yeah. And I'll be 45 in 2 more weeks. So, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. Long, long, long time. It has been a journey, I tell you that. And, yeah. It has been a journey, and it seems as though sometimes, and I always pray before I'm about to speak or be in front of people, like, Lord, please don't let me have a hot flash right now, because it is just not gonna be pretty. It is not gonna be pretty at all. But so far so good. I think when I was finishing speaking one time, when I was right about I was getting about to get finished and wrap up, and I felt it, I was like, oh, okay, let me hurry up and get finished with this, because I'm about to be up here looking for something to so yeah, when they made the little small fans, and I have a fan back here in my room, and it's on now in my office, and the AC is on, so I have a little small fan that I have at my desk, and the AC is still on, and yeah, it's cold in here, but it's absolutely heaven for me. So, ladies, do y'all have anything else? Any questions about the group? Any things that you want to see more of in the group? I myself personally want to see you guys interacting more. Being just start conversations, start the conversations, because that's the only way that someone that really needs it will see it, and they will be empowered by just us having conversations. And I'm sure this video will be one of those things that you can share with other people. You can share it in other groups. I don't mind at all anything that we're posting, because we want to be light for other people, and we can't do that just by keeping it there. And yeah, so, but does anybody else have anything else? And thank you guys so much again. I appreciate you all spending time with me this evening. I appreciate you all being a part of Hear My Cry Sisterhood. You guys are the absolute best. And I share this from time to time. A lot of times I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to stop. I'm so busy doing this, trying to do this. I'm tired of this, I'm that. But God renews my spirit, and He renews my commitment to this every day, because it is definitely my passion. Like, I've been on here for an hour and 19 minutes. I can do this all day, every day. I really, really could, but a lot of times I'm so just doing so many things. But my passion for women and for us to discover our voice, for us to discover who we are as individuals and not as any other titles, no mom, no wife, no, but who I am. And I shared this with some of my friends over the weekend. I said, I feel like I found myself again after my daughter graduated because, going through school, like I said, we're at different stages and levels of our life that we dedicate, ourselves to our children, to what they're doing in school, to our husbands, if they're starting businesses. We dedicate so much time and energy to everybody, and we get lost in the shuffle, or the things that we wanted to do for us are kind of put on the back burner, and we forget. And then we think that we have gotten too old to pursue those things, or we don't think that we can do them, and we doubt ourselves. And no, I'm here to tell you, you're not too old, you're not too young, you're not too this, you're not too that. You are exactly where God wants you to be, because if He gave you that vision and that passion for that vision, then I promise you He is going to equip you to see it through. Trust me, I am speaking from experience. I never want to get up in front of people and talk and be a speaker, motivate people, inspire people, empower people, encourage. Never wanted to do that. Never had any idea that this would be something that I would be doing. But God already knew it, and all of those life experiences have been the basis that I'm able to help and coach and motivate and do things with other women, and just enjoy life, and live it to the fullest. So, but thank you all again so much. Even after this video, you guys can still post questions or comments in the chat, in the comments under this video, and also we can even strike up a new conversation. So thank you all so much for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you, and I hope that today our time together has definitely been a learning experience, learning conversation, and an open and transparent conversation. And I hope it has been a comfortable and uncomfortable at times, because in order for us to grow, we do have to get out of our comfort zones. So thank you all, and I guess I'll chat with you all later. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye.